Question 1. External environmental forces refer to any and all influences that affect the strategic sports marketing process that are out of the hands of the organization itself. There are generally six main forces that sports teams in the Niagara region should be aware of. Firstly, competition. Local teams don't only compete with each other to maximize ticket sales, but also with much bigger teams from outside the region, like the Buffalo Bills and Toronto Maple Leafs. These teams also must be aware of other non-sport entertainment that is offered, such as Niagara's Falls View Casino and Clifton Hill. Next, legal and political. The Government of Ontario's investment into sports infrastructure, such as the construction of the Meridian Centre in 2014 and Canada's Summer Games Park in 2022, show how crucial the role of both the municipal and federal government have been in the development of sport, something that teams should pay attention to during upcoming elections. Next, demographics and culture. According to a 2021 census on the region, Niagara has an average median age of 46 and the second lowest median household income of $79,000 in the Greater Golden Horseshoe. However, with an increase of over 1,500 Indigenous people from 2016, it seems the region is becoming much more diverse, something teams must keep in mind. Next is technology. Digital marketing is very useful for local teams and can be utilized in various different ways. For instance, all teams in the Niagara District Hockey League have a social media page, while larger teams like the Welland Jackfish signed a deal with Your TV Niagara to broadcast their home games on TV to boost fan engagement. Fifth is the physical environment. The unpredictable weather throughout the region allows various sports to be played, such as the Niagara Ice Dogs, who play through the cold winters, and the Welland Jackfish, who enjoy the warm summers. And lastly, the economy. The Conference Board of Canada expects the St. Catharines and Niagara economy to grow by 2.5% by 2025, due largely in part to easing inflation pressure and lowering interest rates, likely increasing an individual's willingness to spend on sports. Question 2. The first level of fans are those with low identification. These fans attend sporting events for the social aspect or the entertainment value. Their primary attraction is the atmosphere in the stadium, the promotions for the match, and having a good time with those that they came with. An example of how to appeal to them is through theme nights based around pop culture, such as Star Wars Night, which may help increase the attendance by introducing fans to the sport through their primary interest. Next, we have medium identifying fans. These are the fans that are much more connected to a certain player or team, but for a short period of time, that is largely based around their performance. A slump or drop in form could result in them losing interest. An example of how to appeal to them is by offering limited edition collectibles such as bobbleheads of a specific player, which may help to grow their connection to a player to a deeper level, to where they stick with them through the thick and thin. Lastly, we have high identifying fans, which are those who are committed long-term to a team or player and are likely to see it as part of their identity. They are likely to heavily invest into a team through team-related purchases or traveling to games. A large amount of emphasis is usually placed on these form of fans. An example of how to appeal to them is season ticket packages that offer exclusive benefits like early access into stadiums, discounts at team stores, and opportunities to meet team legends, which fans would likely have much more of an appreciation for. Question 3. The first major difference is unpredictability. Unlike movies and the theater, which follow a set script, there's no way of knowing how a sports game is going to end, which only adds to the intrigue, shown in this year's Super Bowl, as by all means it was over by halftime, something that nobody expected as everyone anticipated a close game. Secondly is different forms of entertainment. While plays in theaters only offer you what you're purchasing, sports often package different types of entertaining techniques to ensure that you are always engaged. For example, the Houston Astros have a fireworks display after every Friday home game in the summer, as well as classics like singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" in the middle of the 7th inning. Third is competition. Within each sporting event, there is a winner, loser, or in some cases a tie. This leads different fan bases to root for different outcomes. For instance, a game between Liverpool and Manchester United would have both teams rooting for the team that they support. However, in other forms of entertainment, all fans are attending for the same goal, wanting to see a good show. Fourth is financial implication. The rise of sports betting means that people often put money on the line based on what they expect, which doesn't happen in other entertainment. For instance, for any given Maple Leafs game, I can put my own money on Austin Matthews to either reach or fall short of certain statistic like shots on goal. Fifth is violence and physicality. Sports is the only form of entertainment in which physical contact and oftentimes violence is not only allowed but encouraged. This has given growth to sports like the UFC, as fans love the thrill that comes with watching people fight. And lastly, cultural significance. While the opera and the theater are seen as quite fancy and distinguished, sports are usually seen as much more casual, where you can get a cheap comfort meal and enjoy a beer, like the Toronto Blue Jays promotional Looney Dogs night. Question 4. The acronym SWOT gets its name from its four major components of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It is used as an analysis tool by successful sport marketers as a way to determine an organization's effectiveness by examining both internal factors that they have control over in the form of strengths and weaknesses, and external factors which they cannot control in the form of opportunities and threats. If we were to use Ford rejoining F1 as an example, the strengths are firstly that Ford has developed into a worldwide brand as they operate in over 135 countries worldwide according to Ford Corporate, and secondly that Ford has garnered a worldwide reputation for being a pioneer and innovator in mass production and manufacturing methods via Britannica, becoming notorious as an innovative and forward-thinking company, leading to few doubts that they will be able to adapt quickly into F1. In terms of weaknesses, Ford has largely built up their reputation around bulky trucks and SUVs, meaning that it's going to take some crafty marketing to shift Ford's global perception toward much slimmer race cars. Additionally, Ford's legacy, pension, and healthcare benefits offered to older employees means that the company operates under financial burdens that they can't use in other ways. Over to opportunities. Ford's eco-friendly mindset is likely to align with F1's shift towards a much more sustainable business plan, meaning Ford could be seen as a trendsetter that aligns with the competition's new visions and values. Ford also now becomes the only American manufacturer in F1. With F1 still largely growing in the United States, this allows Ford to be able to grab a stranglehold on the American market. Lastly, in terms of threats, partnering with Red Bull is a massive risk as they have a shady reputation amongst F1 fans due to reasons like heavy financial investment and controversies at past races, potentially rubbing many new F1 fans the wrong way towards Ford. And lastly, political tension under the regime of Donald Trump and his views towards other countries may hinder Ford's ability to grow in a very international sport. Question 5. Firstly, sport can elicit an emotional response in its consumers that is rarely found in other businesses. Sporting organizations quite simply get fans excited, allowing them to form unique emotional connections with certain teams and players, which results in a vast amount of physical, financial, and timely sacrifices that are made in order to support them that are unable to be seen in other products and services. Secondly, sporting organizations that compete rely on the health of their competitors for their own success. In each and every sporting landscape, the need for a balanced and competitive playing field is integral for a league's success, as it attracts large crowds, more sponsors, and maximizes media coverage, meaning that teams actually need competition to survive, something not seen in other industries who are simply focused on becoming the best. Third, the unpredictability of competitive sport can make the product more attractive. The success of a sporting team is dependent on a variety of different factors, such as injuries, the opposition, rest in between games, and so much more, which only adds to the unpredictability of the outcome and intrigue that fans are willing to pay for, which many other products do not have, as they want the consumer to know exactly what they're paying for. Fourth, the bond that joins fans to their club means that they will put up with changes to the team and remain optimistic. The aforementioned emotional connection formed by fans to their teams can often result in a high level of tolerance for personnel turnover. The love that fans have for their teams can often lead to an optimistic viewpoint in which fans are able to look at organizational decisions in a positive light, assuming that they will pay off in the end. And lastly, the competitive sport products is restricted to a fixed supply schedule. Unlike many other businesses that operate year-round, sporting organizations operate within a fixed supply schedule, meaning that teams only play a limited amount of games throughout the year. As a result, opportunities to generate revenue from ticket sales can be restricted, as once a game is passed, the potential revenue of that game is gone forever. Question 6. Marketing towards females in the sporting world has come a long way since the days of Pink It and Shrink It. For instance, instead of just having a few pink options at the back of the team store, most, if not every team, now has a dedicated section to women that offer the same design and style to men, while any promotional campaigns of a team displaying new jerseys are usually now modeled by both sexes. Moreover, for me, a very prominent example that I experienced is for my favorite soccer team, Chelsea. I initially downloaded their official team app to try and get closer with the club, as I would receive notifications for any action during a game. However, the app also began providing me notifications for the women's team as well, allowing me to stay updated and learn more about the Women's Super League as well. Something similar has also been done with rugby, as in August 2019, World Rugby announced that the Women's Rugby World Cup would now be marketed under the Rugby World Cup branding in an attempt to promote and normalize gender equality. While these improvements are a great start, I believe more work can still be done. For instance, I believe that all sports teams should follow the example of teams like the New York Yankees, who have started implementing a women's mini fantasy camp. In these camps, they fly women 21 and older down to their spring training facilities where they can practice with the team, meet former players, and receive exclusive merchandise. I believe these minor additions would help get women closer to the game and demonstrate that the organization cares about connecting with a historically marginalized group. Additionally, I believe these sporting organizations could also massively benefit from increased gender hiring practices. While there have been encouraging trends in certain departments, I believe the need to improve hiring of women in powerful positions would help in providing a woman's perspective on how they can best attract female fans. Question 7. Firstly, demographic segmentation refers to grouping consumers based on similar characteristics or demographics such as age, gender, or ethnic background. For example, the Boston Bruins College Nights promotion is held midweek at 7 p.m. with cheaper tickets, likely aligning with the typical student schedule and budget. Secondly, socioeconomic segmentation groups consumers based on their social and economic status, factoring characteristics such as income, education, occupation, and social status. For instance, advertisements for golf clubs are typically geared towards those that are highly educated, wealthy, and have a stable job, due to both typically the price to purchase or rent the equipment and the sophisticated dress code. Thirdly, lifestyle or psychographic segmentation factors in a consumer's identity and how their lifestyle choices align with sports, taking into account values, attitudes, personalities, and interests. For example, Red Bull markets extreme sports such as cliff diving and air racing to those thrill seekers who live life on the edge and enjoy taking risks. Fourth, geographic segmentation divides markets based on location, factoring how the region allows consumers to interact with sport. For instance, Williamsport, Pennsylvania is the exclusive host of the Little League World Series, meaning any marketing efforts are likely to mention the competition. Fifth, product behavior segmentation groups consumers based on how they interact with the product, such as how often the product is bought. An example is Canada recently winning the 2025 Four Nations Face-Off means that Hockey Canada can leverage the national pride and high demand to sell player jerseys before the next competition. And lastly, benefit segmentation factors in the appeal and benefits that a product or service has to a consumer, such as the problem that the product solves. An example is Skechers, who have created an athletic shoe that offers plenty of health benefits, such as hands-free wear, cushioning to provide comfort, and arch support to reduce pressure on the rest of your lower body. These benefits are aimed at targeting those who are looking for a shoe that can provide them health benefits. Question 8. With many fans, young or old, living a repetitive or mundane life at either school or work and having to constantly deal with the stress and responsibilities that may come with them, sports can become a very important escape mechanism for the problems of everyday life, where fans can temporarily leave their life behind to get immersed in a sporting event. This results in more stressful times of the year, such as December, which involves exam preparation for students, year-end deadlines for workers, and holiday responsibilities for everyone else, having an increased demand for live sport consumption. For my favorite team, the Boston Red Sox, they utilize the club's deep history to their advantage. The stadium's old feel with the manually operated scoreboard and the green monster and relatively outdated design provide a sense of nostalgia to fans. Additionally, the club's traditions of singing Sweet Caroline in the eighth inning of every home game, playing at 11 a.m. at Fenway on Patriots Day, and the heavy emphasis on military appreciation and the Boston Strong movement after the Boston Marathon bombing in 2013 help craft a narrative that is far larger than baseball, making it easy to lose yourself from the real world and feel a sense of belonging.